Next up, Mr. Grover.
Good evening.
Welcome.
I don't think so. The first page basically shows the amount of streets that we paved in 2018. We paved nearly 3 miles, a little over 3 miles of streets this year. Is there anyone in this room that hasn't hit a pothole this year and said that darn DPW did not do a good job? Of course you have. However, there's a reason for why the streets are starting to fall apart. You can look down below, you can see that in 2018, there were 3.9 miles of streets paved. 2017, 1.8. 2016, 1.8. 2015, 2.7. And 2014, 2.1. If we paved 3 miles of streets per year, we'd be on a 25-year replacement cycle. Okay? What's it cost to pave a street? Anybody know? Got an idea. Well, if you're going to mill a street and put on a 2.5-inch top course, okay, it's $90 per foot of roadway. So it's $550,000 per mile. Now, the town has not been putting up any money until recently for street paving. So we've relied totally on Chapter 90 money. Our Chapter 90 allotment is in the vicinity of $500,000 per year. So basically, we're getting enough money to pave 1 mile per year, but we should be paving 3 to stay on a 25-year replacement cycle. So it's not nuclear science or physics why our streets are starting to fall apart. So what did the town do? We had a pavement management study done. And basically what that study says, the town has to change its philosophy on how we do streets. No longer can we afford to do worst first, okay? We have to treat all of our streets. We have a pavement condition index. All the streets have been evaluated. And we have to distribute our money so that basically what it says is the worst streets, you kind of leave a lot of those alone because they can't get any worse. So you try and tackle a certain number per year instead of just trying to take the worst ones, okay? There was a very nice presentation done by Stantec. I think the Board of Selectmen were informed about it. And what is it? What did it tell us dollar-wise? That we should be investing $1.2 million per year to stay where we are. It would only give us a slight improvement. This year here, I don't know what the paving money budget is going to be. I've requested some articles. Chapter 90, we're estimating at $500,000. There will be a shortfall again this year in paving, okay? Just sending it out there for what it is, whether you want to think about it, that our streets are actually one of our most valuable assets that we have, and there's a number in here that just to repave the number of streets we have right now is $45 million. Now, the town is not going to appropriate $45 million to repave all the streets. Probably the biggest accomplishment we had this year was to get off of Oak Street. I think anybody that drove Oak Street knew it was tough. I think the finished product came out pretty good. I'm not happy with the striping, but that will be redone again in the spring. We put granite curbing on both sides and new concrete sidewalks on the east side of the street. Oak Street is 4,000 feet long, so it's just shy of a mile. That was the majority of the town's stick. Now, the MWRA is in town. It's annoying, it's disturbing, but the town is getting something out of this. We're getting approximately $2 million worth of infrastructure replaced as they go along, okay? As a result, the town has not had to put up a water article or a sewer article while they're in town. And everybody's saying, enough is enough, when are they going to be out of town? 2020. So they will have 3 crews back on, probably starting on April the 1st, working on Pond Street, working on South Street, and working on Main Street, okay? They anticipate complete construction this year and finished paving in 2020, in the spring of 2020. That's their schedule. That's the good news. The bad news is as soon as they're just about done, Eversource will be coming into town. If anybody knows what the Eversource project is, it's a 345 kV line, which will be starting on Montvale Avenue, going all the way up to Montvale Avenue to Main Street, turning left on Main Street, going down to Elm Street, turning right on Elm Street, and going up to the Wakefield line. The other work that was done in town this year, we didn't just do street paving. We had 2 sewer projects that we did. One of them is called an I&I program, which is infiltration and inflow. The way we pay the MWRA is we buy the water and we pay for the sewer as it leaves. And believe it or not, for every 100 gallons of water we buy, we put 120, 130 gallons in the sewer system. So obviously the pipes are leaking and there's inflow. Phase 6 was just completed. As you know, we have a grant that we'll be working on again this year. We call Phase 7. We'll be lining of sewer pipes to try and reduce infiltration and inflow. Infiltration is groundwater getting into the pipe. Inflow is illegal pumping getting into the pipe, such as if someone has a sump pump in their basement. Okay? That is illegal to pump that into the sewer. All the water that enters the sewer system has to go through the treatment plant. It's expensive to treat it. The town also will be doing smoke testing this year. What is smoke testing? We will actually be introducing smoke into the sewer pipes. And what will happen is if all of a sudden it goes up in your house, or it comes up out of your roof drains, you know you have an illegal connection into the sewer system. That will be addressed as far as removing those. And again, this is some of the work that we're doing to try and keep our sewer charges down, which is one of the most expensive bills the town pays. I'm sure Mr. Castellarin will verify that. Over $4 million we pay for sewer, and over $3 million we pay for water. We finished the first of what we call the Fallon Road sewer. We replaced the main sewer that goes from Maple Street up to Hillside Road. We're now designing Phase 2. That sewer is very porous. It actually, I guess you might say it looks like a Valentine sewer some places when you televise it. The top is starting to cave in on that sewer. So they think the selectmen have seen the videos of that, they've seen the pictures of that, and that's why it's being funded. Phase 2 is under design right now and will hopefully be bid in the spring. Again, the Eversource project will also bring something to town that they're going to pay for traffic light replacement at the intersections of Main and Elm, Main and William and Central, Central and Elm. As you're probably aware, if you drive through town, the traffic always backs up there because those controllers don't have the ability to talk to each other, okay? So they don't know when one should be changing to let the traffic go. Eversource, since that is on their route, one of the conditions of the agreement is to pay for that. They'll be putting a sidewalk on the north side of Montvale Avenue, paying for that. They'll be paying for fully curb-to-curb paving on any streets they do. They're going to pay for the design of the Montvale Ave culvert. Not only are they going to pay for the design, they're going to pay for the replacement. So that's the one section of town that floods almost every time it rains. So there will be some good coming out of the Eversource. I'm not saying it won't be difficult. What's the biggest problem that the department faces? Manpower and equipment. I became Public Works Director in 1990, town engineer in 1985. In 1990, there were 61 employees in Public Works. Today, there are 28.6. I don't think there's any department in town that has had that much of a decrease in manpower. Some of the selectmen are very aware of that, have suggested increasing the manpower. I had requested more manpower than is being proposed right now. Right now, they're proposing to a part-time recycling trash coordinator and one full-time laborer. Once Eversource gets started, Eversource will pay for a full-time construction inspector for the town who will be working for Public Works. We have a capital replacement program that we've developed at the request of the Capital Committee, and basically what that says is we want to replace large vehicles on a 20-year cycle, loaders, six-wheel dump trucks, that type of thing, and small vehicles on a 10-year cycle, pickup trucks, one-ton dump trucks, okay? This year here, I've asked for the replacement of a front-end loader. It's 22 years old right now, so it's already gone beyond. And next year, we will be requesting a blower for that, an attachment. Right now, we have a snow blower, if you've ever seen it, if we get a lot of snow, hopefully we won't get it tonight. It's a 1976 snow blower that we have in the department. This front-end loader, when we get it, would be large enough that we could put a blower attachment on there. Instead of having just a machine that's dedicated to just one purpose, it does it very well, but not anymore. It's a 1976. Again, like I said, the biggest problem we have also is manpower. The other one will be a reduction in staff. As you may or may not know, I have retired. The deputy director has retired, Larry Brophy. And the licensed water drinking foreman has retired, Bob Radigan. The three of us have worked for the town of Stoneham for 104 years. I don't think you'll find too many people that work in a place that long. All three of us, although we're retired, have come back on a part-time basis to work through the transition. I look forward to working with Dennis to go through this. Obviously, since he is actually coming from Public Works, I think he'll understand and know the needs that we have.
You're not getting it.
So anyway, I mean, that's what we hope to do. And the other thing that I just wanted to point out here tonight, that even though social media says I disappeared and $2.5 million is gone, I'm here. I don't have the $2.5 million, and there's no $2.5 million missing. Mainly, we need to change our philosophy on paving. I think that's what I want to get across here, to keep our streets up in a good condition. Water and sewer, we have a very good water system, one of the best in the Commonwealth. The sewer system we're addressing right now, we're spending over $1 million a year on our sewer system through grants and loans, okay? And we will continue. The next infrastructure that we've kind of neglected is our drainage system. I have introduced an article for drainage money for this year. The Capital Committee has had a placeholder for many years for drainage. It's time to start addressing some of those problems. I introduced the interim town administrator to several of those and took her on field trips to see exactly what was happening. So, again, I look forward to working with Dennis, bringing the town forward and making sure that there's a smooth transition on Public Works, as do the other two gentlemen who represent the major management part of the DPW.
I just want to say thank you on behalf of the board and the residents for your service to Larry Brophy, Bob Radigan. It is a lot of years of service walking out the door at one time. We are hopeful that Dennis will be able to bring his experience with DPW and be able to sort of fill those positions, take a look at the department, give us some good recommendations on where we can maybe, beef up a little bit, make sure that you're given the tools, or the department's given the tools that they need going forward. I think you guys take a lot of heat, both on social media, as well as, talk around the community. Anytime there's a snowstorm, there's always, an issue. But the fact is, your team's out there working hard day and night. They put in a lot of hours. They do multiple jobs. They're being torn in many, many directions. And having served for 10 years on the school committee at a time when the schools were really sort of bleeding out, it was difficult. It was difficult to keep morale up. It was difficult to be hopeful. It was difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And thank you guys for kind of hanging in there and being willing to stay on for a little bit to work through the transition, to make sure that the work that you have put in over the years gets continued in a positive way. And I won't continue on, but I just want to say thank you to everybody.
Well, we appreciate that. And, obviously, having invested 104 years, it wasn't something we would just walk away from.
No.
I mean, I think everybody knows that, knowing the three of us.
Yep.
Bob, obviously, you three bring a ton of knowledge to the town. And again, you guys staying on just shows how much you do respect and care for the town. And it's unfortunate that you've had, a witch hunt on you for how many years now? It's just, it's a shame. But you being a professional, like you said, $2.5 million, it's not going. It's just, Dave knows where, it's just a line item, but everything's there, everything's always been there. You're always down with the personnel, number-wise, but you guys still go out and do the job, which is great. And for the most part, I think most of us appreciate it, and some people you just obviously can't please no matter what. We shouldn't be paying for any water or service, or we shouldn't be paying for taxes. It seems that way. That mindset has been tarnished on this town. I mean, everything's been going up in the world, and nothing else is supposed to. Our taxes are down $1 since 2012. Our commercial's gone up 22 cents per, 1,000 since 2012. It's, the water and sewer, like you said, the fourth best in the state. I think you guys have been doing a great job for the numbers and the people that you have there. So, I mean, obviously, I can't thank you enough.
Some days we feel like MacGyver.
Yeah, but it seems like for years you've had to do the MacGyver. But, I mean, for the most part, I'm sure most of us do appreciate it.
With your leaving your legacy here, I think that's important that everyone should know what you,
Well, I know you hear a lot of bad things about the police station. The first project I had in town was I was the clerk of the works on the town hall renovation project. No change orders. And relatively few problems, all right, for an addition that was put on in 1985.
No change order?
No change orders.
Wow.
It does make a difference when you have a town employee, a registered engineer, on board as the clerk of the works. I would recommend in the future, I wholeheartedly endorse a facilities department that will have the properly trained personnel. As it was, as you know, Public Works had taken on that role, other than the schools, for the public buildings, instead of having, not to single out instead of having the head librarian in charge of the library. I'm sorry, okay?
Yeah.
So at least what Mr. Rigucci ended up doing was putting engineering personnel at least. Number one, recognize the problem and are used to dealing with contractors. If anyone has ever tried to do a home improvement project and you're not used to construction or dealing with contractors, try it and see if you think it's easy. It's not. You have to be trained in that in order to properly deal with contractors.
I think you look great for 104.
Yoda. I have a thought in my head and it just completely escaped me. Yeah, please do.
Thank you. I know that the DPW does get beat up a lot, and one of the things that bothers me the most about it is at one time we had 61 employees. And to Dave's point of making these cuts back in the early 2000s, and you're still trying to rebuild, you have 28.6 employees that take care of this, our water and sewer, engineering, equipment, salt, sand, snow removal. There is just so much that the DPW does, and it bothers me as well when I see stuff on social media and the DPW getting slammed.
That's what I was most proud of. As you know, the DPW has probably been under scrutiny for the last 6 or 7 years, maybe, mainly because I wouldn't rubber stamp what a couple of boards wanted. And that's what I'm most proud of, that I used my professional opinion, okay, on what I thought should be done. And since that time, as Mr. Seabolt has said, it hasn't stopped, okay? Even though it was still the best decision for the town.
I do have to say something, Ramey, I'm not to interrupt there, but when it comes to an engineer, there's no gray area. We have policies and procedures put in place all over every business. But when it comes to an engineer, it's black or white. There's no gray area there because your license is on the line.
That's right.
And that is, people don't get that. Some people get elected and put in positions, and the title goes to their head, and they think that they can tell you what to do, and that's
Well,
a shame.
that's
The
one of
form
the things that I
government's
think I
changed.
realized, George, that, even though I'm a graduate engineer of Northeastern, a registered land surveyor, and a registered professional engineer, and 50 years in public works, that some newly elected officials know more about public works than I do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I did find that out.
One of the things we've talked about, I introduced it a little while ago at one of our meetings, but I think it's something I'd really like to pursue, along with the new TA, if you agree, is a citizens academy. Because I think being able to bring in, even if it's small groups, to be able to see what the DPW has for equipment, what they do, how they operate, being able to see the police station and sort of do that tour that some of us selectmen got to do, being able to see, wow, how incredible it is to watch that fire truck back into the fire station with like a quarter of an inch. It's if you don't see it, it's hard to understand it. But when people see it and are comfortable with it and are educated about what the needs are and what the reality is, it makes it easier for you to invest in it. Your time, your money, your energy. So I think that there shouldn't be this sort of, moat between government and residents. Residents should feel that the government is working for them. And the only way to do that is to build relationships. And you don't build relationships with a department by going to social media, by filing anonymous complaints, by constantly going in a negative direction. You do that by building relationships, by educating yourself, by asking questions, and by investing some time. And so I think it's really easy for people to sit behind a keyboard and type out nasty things. I see it all day long in my work, right? But they would never say those things to your face, and they would never think to do those or say those things if they had to own them. So I'm hoping that we can maybe start some sort of small program going forward in the near future. Once we get, some leadership teams back in place and everybody's sort of comfortable and up in the running, to give people the opportunity to take some time out of their day to learn about what actually goes on. Police, fire, schools, treasury, whatever department it may be that is interested in participating.
I
So,
actually would like to thank the entire town. I'm only the third town engineer this town has had in its history. For, keeping me on board, having the faith in me to serve as your town engineer for 34 years. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you,
Bob.
Bob.